Frederick Douglass, century February 1818 to February 20, 1895, was a prominent American abolitionist, writer, orator, and statesman who escaped from slavery to become a leading figure in the movement to abolish slavery in the United States. His life and work have left an indelible mark on American history and continue to inspire movements for justice and equality. Early life and enslavement, birth and family. Born as Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey in Talbot County, Maryland, Douglass was the son of an enslaved woman, Harriet Bailey, and an unknown white man. He was separated from his mother in infancy and had limited knowledge of his exact birth date. Childhood. Douglass spent his early years on plantations on the eastern shore of Maryland. At the age of 8, he was sent to Baltimore to serve Hugh and Sophia Auld. Learning to read and write, Sophia Auld began teaching Douglass the alphabet, but her husband stopped the lessons, fearing that literacy would inspire a desire for freedom. Undeterred, Douglass continued to learn clandestinely, trading food with white children for lessons and studying secretly. Escape from slavery. Plan for freedom. In 1838, at the age of 20, Douglass escaped from slavery. Disguised as a sailor and carrying forged identification papers, he traveled by train and steamboat from Baltimore to Philadelphia, and then to New York City. Marriage. Shortly after his escape, Douglass married Anna Murray, a free black woman who had assisted him in gaining his freedom. They settled in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and eventually had 5 children. Abolitionist activities. Early advocacy. Douglass became involved with abolitionist circles in New Bedford and attended meetings of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. Lecturing career. In 1841, he attended an anti-slavery convention in Nantucket, where he was encouraged to speak. His eloquence impressed the Massachusetts Anti-Slavery Society, which hired him as a lecturer. International recognition. Douglass's speeches attracted attention both in the U.S. and abroad. In 1845, he published his first autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, which became a bestseller. Time in Britain and Ireland. Travel abroad. Fearing recapture after his autobiography revealed his identity, Douglass traveled to Britain and Ireland in 1845. Support overseas. He spent 2 years lecturing on abolition and received support from British sympathizers who raised funds to purchase his legal freedom. Influence of British abolitionists. The experience broadened his perspectives on social justice and reinforced his commitment to universal human rights. Publishing and journalism. The North Star. Upon returning to the U.S. in 1847, Douglass began publishing The North Star, an abolitionist newspaper based in Rochester, New York. The paper's motto was, "Right is of no sex, truth is of no color, God is the Father of us all, and we are all brethren." Advocacy through writing. Douglass used his publications to address issues of slavery, women's rights, and racial equality. He became a leading voice in advocating for the rights of African Americans and women. Involvement in women's suffrage. Seneca Falls Convention. Douglass was one of the few men to attend the first Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York, in 1848. He spoke in favor of women's suffrage and signed the Declaration of Sentiments. Belief in equality. He maintained that the fight for women's rights was integral to the broader struggle for human rights and justice. Civil War efforts. Recruitment of black soldiers. During the Civil War, Douglass was instrumental in advocating for the enlistment of African American men in the Union Army. He helped recruit soldiers for regiments like the 54th Massachusetts Infantry. Advising Lincoln. Douglass met with President Abraham Lincoln to discuss the treatment of black soldiers and the broader goals of the war. He pushed for emancipation as a central objective. Emancipation Proclamation. Douglass hailed the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation as a crucial step toward ending slavery but continued to advocate for full equality. Post-war activities and government service. Reconstruction era. After the war, Douglass continued to fight for the rights of freed slaves, including voting rights and economic opportunities. Government positions. President of the Freedmen's Savings Bank. Douglass served as the head of the bank established to assist newly freed African Americans, though the institution ultimately failed due to prior mismanagement. U.S. Marshal for the District of Columbia, appointed by President Rutherford B. Hayes in 1877. Recorder of Deeds. Held the position in Washington, D.C., from 1881 to 1886. Minister Resident and Consul General to Haiti. served from 1889 to 1891, representing U.S. interests. Later life and second marriage. Death of Anna Murray Douglass. His first wife passed away in 1882 after 44 years of marriage. Quotations. Some of his most famous sayings include, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will." Frederick Douglass remains a towering figure in American history. His insights into the struggles against oppression, his advocacy for education and self-improvement, and his belief in the fundamental equality of all people resonate strongly today. His life exemplifies the enduring fight for justice and the belief that individuals can effect profound change in society. Please share, like and subscribe or on Z.